Hello there, friends. Today is March 8th, 2024, and today we're going to discuss this Victor Wembanyama rookie card. 6 variations of it, actually. This would be a base set card here from the 2023 Panini Prizm basketball set. It's card number 136, but we're also going to discuss the green. We'll discuss the silver, the ruby red wave. We've got a cracked ice, and of course, we've got the blue. So we're going to discuss comps and what I would do to put a value on all of these cards and establish my entrance and exit points. So first, let's discuss the base set card. So again, 2023 Panini Prizm, card number 136 for Victor Wembanyama, his rookie card. First things first, let's talk about how ugly it is with the curtain behind. I hate this card. I do. I just do not like this card with that curtain behind. But I guess what could you do? He hadn't played in the league yet. And so, I mean, they tried their best. But anyways, on to what this chart represents. First, what I did is I collected 15 recent auction sales for this card through eBay. I only do auction. I do not include buy it nows. I also do not include the sales that are coming straight from China. There's a lot of those right now. I think they skew the information a little bit, and the sheer volume of them coming from China has me a bit concerned. Anyways, I'm not going to get too deep into that, but these are only auctions, no buy it nows, because I want to see that back and forth bidding process happen. I want to see what people are actually clamoring over and fighting for to get. And I think that's helped me to establish a true supply and demand so I can chart out where my entrance and exit points are. All right. So we've got basically 5 really important numbers. They're averages. So the blue down here is actually the average bid price that somebody had to pay in order to win this card. So that comes to $99.75. So that's a hefty price for a base set card, and that reflects truly how crazy the market is and how much of an impact they expect Wembanyama to have on the game long term. So average shipping came out to $4.55 for a total average out the door of $104.30. Now, none of these numbers that we just discussed are what I would value this card at, because that doesn't take into consideration sellers' fees. Orange is what sellers actually take home once you subtract the 13 to 15% in fees that they must pay. This number, I would say, is fair market value for the card. It's still not where I like to get in on it, though, right? I want to be in this green, yellow, red. Think of a stoplight. Go, slow, stop, right? So green is a 70% price point of P. That comes to $69.83. That's usually my first offer. Yellow is going to be $74.81. That's a 75% offer. And an 80% offer, which is usually a very hard stop for me, is $79.80. I also like to get in on the bottom third of sales. So I'm going to sort ascending here and drop down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $84.72, which is actually really close to the orange and significantly higher than my red hard stop. There are a few sales that happen significantly lower that are skewing these numbers low. However, I still think $79.80 is my hard stop on this card, mostly because it's a base set card. I think you're going to have to turn this card relatively fast because there's a lot of these on the market, don't get me wrong, but we're still relatively new into the release. And I think we are going to just keep seeing more and more of these flood on the market. And I'm interested in turning and burning, but that lag time that still exists has me concerned. Okay. I also like to sell in the top third of sales. So if I go from the bottom here and go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've got $90.79. So if I get in on that hard stop at 80, I sell at 90, I've made a quick $10 profit. That's also relative to a $105 buy it now price that you would have to sell on eBay for. All right. Does that make sense? So I'm buying at 80. I'm selling at 90 at the very least. I'd love to get a little higher in this profile here. Depending upon how nice that card is, you could probably swing it pretty easily. Let's go ahead and revert back here to the graph that we can see. We are seeing that consistency. For a new card, for a rookie, we're seeing amazing consistency across the board. We're looking at less than a 50% sort of swing from low to high on average. A couple low ones, like we mentioned, that kind of brought everything down a little bit, but everything sitting tight between that 95 to 105 on average. Pretty cool card. Nice, interesting market. Again, I'm just a little nervous that we're going to see a flood of these cards hit us in the short term here. Let's move on to the green prism. So normally, I'm not a huge fan of green, but I think these greens pop, especially with the black. So green prism, this is going to come down to $262 for your average bid price to win. $226.98 would exclude seller's fees, so I definitely want to get in below that. Green first offer at 70% is $183.40. Yellow is going to be $196.50, and 80% is at $209.60. So definitely an insane market for this. This is ungraded, folks, and this isn't necessarily a super short print. So $209 for a rookie card in this market, ungraded, insanity. Let's see what the bottom third of sales is going to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 203, 13 falls right between the yellow and red, which I kind of find pretty consistent in as far as the hard stops that I like to see. So I will hard stop on this card at 203 and hopefully sell it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for $243. So in person, that nets me a $40 profit, which is a pretty nice sum. Or on eBay through a buy it now, $281 would get me that amount of money first as well. So again, there's still a little bit of money on the upside. This $390, someone really overpaid for that. But hey, you know what? If you want to get your hands on it, I can't blame you. Now let's undo that sorting and check out where the market plays. So as you can see, earlier on in this graph, we actually let's do this. We are not sorted correctly here. We're going to sort this one ascending here. There we go. Now we're going to get a prettier picture. There we go. So this is better. Insane peaks and valleys. Look at this. This is more than 100% swing between the valley and the high. Even with the second highest one at 330, you're still looking at almost 100% swing. So this market on this card is volatile, which can be a good and bad thing. You can certainly get taken if you get in on the high, but if you find a way to maneuver your sales through this process, there's plenty of wiggle room for you to make a few extra bucks. So a tight market is a hard market to get a lot of money. You can always bet on selling it for a certain price point, but you're not going to make nearly as much money for your efforts as something as volatile as this. Cool looking card. This one I'm not buying quite yet. It seems a little high for me. I'm probably not in at that 262 as far as an average bid price. I think that's a little insane for this card. I want this market to sort of settle out a little bit. Silver, the bad boy silver, the ones that people really, really are after. And I have to admit, I love silvers. I think the silvers are some of the coolest looking parallels out there right now. I love the shimmer. I love the shine. Once you get them in the right light, they really do magic. But for $841.62 is your average bid. $729.80 is take home for sellers. Green is going to be $589.13 first offer. Second offer $631. Hard stop at $673. Bottom third of sales is going to be $691. So I'm willing to bet that we've got a couple outliers in the 417 and the 907 kind of dragging us down. So this is actually going to go well past my normal hard stop in the bottom third. So for me, I'm stopping at an 80% price point right now. $673 is where I stop. top third of sales gets you to $7.89, so you can swing about $100 profit if you get in at the right point. 911 is your buy it now on eBay. And let's undo the... So again, our graph, very chaotic. These two valleys certainly are kind of messing up the averages quite a bit. So that's why we did see we did see the hard stop and the bottom third kind of combat each other. It's going to be hard to swing this at about 680 to get in at that hard stop, but I think you can do it. I think you can find a special one if you just take your time. Again, there were a ton of Chinese offerings that were out there for this card. I didn't include them in here. They would have created a little more stability, I believe, in here, but just the way they flooded the market, it makes me a little hesitant, and I want to see what's going on locally as well. All right, Ruby Red Wave. This one's interesting, and it's mostly interesting because I could find hardly any of these. So first I have to delete all of this here because this isn't accurate. There we go. Now those were skewing my numbers. That was my equation that I use to go ahead and make this chart. But on average, it looks like 729.49 for this Ruby Red Wave. Now compare that to the silver, right? 841.62. So we're coming in well below the silver, but just sheer volume right now is telling me there are way less of these out on the market. As far as locally is concerned, way less. And so the fact that this is coming in below the silver has me thinking that there could be some value in it. Now, there is something to be said with how ugly the waves are. I've consistently said I hate all the waves as far as look. I don't think they have the staying power. I think they look old right now, you know what I mean? And not in a good way. And so considering what they'll look like 10 years from now has me concerned. But like I said, in the short term, it's looking like there's a lot less volume of these cards and scarcity kind of rules in this game. So I'm interested in this card just because of the scarcity and the fact that its price point is below the silver. $7.29. Again, sellers are taking home $6.32. Green is at $5.10 first offer, $5.47 second, and $5.83 for my third hard stop. We're not even going to do the bottom third on this just because there aren't that many of them. I'm hard stopping at $5.83 on this card and hoping that I can pull somewhere around the lines of, $800, $700, somewhere around there. Even $650 after spending $5.83 would be nice. So, yeah, pretty insane that this card is not going for more considering what silvers are going for. Let's take a peek at our graph. Yeah, we're seeing that rise. Perhaps people are kind of realizing that there's some scarcity going on these cards, and they're willing to pay a few more bucks. Next, we've got the cracked ice, which has an interesting spot in my heart. I think the cracked ices, this picture doesn't do it justice. I think they look way cooler in person. Really nice shine, nice little shatter to it. I think this is my number 2 behind the silver and just a little higher than the green. $441 is your average sale or average bid price. $382 is take home for sellers. $308 is starting offer. $330 is second, and $352 is your hard stop. We've got a sword ascending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $355. So just a little bit higher than that red hard stop. I'm still stopping for sure at $352 for this card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. $394 after all is said and done. Probably what you could get for it. You're going to be pulling about $40 in profit, or $455 as a buy it now on eBay. So definitely some interesting leeway on this card. Let's check out where the market's headed. Relatively consistent, actually, not too shabby. Real sort of steady around that 405 to 455 mark. A few outliers in there. 350 kind of drew things down. So it's, nice consistent graph. We'll see what happens here in the near future. I'm thinking about a month, from now is when I'll really be looking at what these cards are going for, especially once we start seeing more of these cards coming back from PSA, getting a grade on them. Depending upon where those fall, that could certainly bring this market down a little bit. A lot of people are hunting for nicely centered cards, good edges, so that they can submit them to eBay. And that can be, not eBay, to PSA. And that can be driving these prices higher than you would normally see. And last but not least, we've got a blue Prism. Not very many of these at all, at least if you're shopping local as well. So there were, maybe 4 or 5 or 6 that were coming out of China that I didn't want to include in here. But these were ones that were done locally in the United States. As you can see, we are selling for mid $3,000. So $3,523 is going to be your average bid. I'll just 2 of these to consider. And again, we have to delete this. My goodness. Come prepared, will you? All right. And so minus fees, you're getting $3,056.34. And green is $24.66, $26.42, and $28.18. I'd be all in at that 80%. If I could pull something like that off, it'd be a miracle. I don't think you can. We'll have to see what happens when more of these filter into the market. I have a feeling this will change quite a bit when these start getting PSA graded. We're seeing a lot of new and recent gradings kind of skew towards 10s right now. I'm not a huge fan of it. PSA kind of had to bust through, it seems like, quite a few cards recently. And we're seeing some cards get like a 45 to 55% return for PSA 10s. Whatever you think that is, whatever reason that is, that has me concerned that we're going to start seeing a massive influx of PSA 10s, which will then kind of draw this market down. So realistically, unless I can get in this lower end of the range here and flip it really quick, I'm not getting anywhere near this card. This card is fire. It's cool. I love it. Again, but I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see quite a few PSA 10s hitting the market within the next month. All right. So that's pretty much my entrance and exit points for these cards. Again, super volatile market right now just because the set is still in its infancy phase, right? These cards are still making their ways into collectors' hands and onto PSA or onto eBay, and we're seeing these massive fluctuations. I'll be very interested to see what happens over the next couple months as things steady out. Hopefully this helps you. Take care, my friends.